Hey guys, it's Manny here. I know I'm making a second, okay, let me redo that again. So, hey guys, it's Manny again. I'm doing another PACE adaptation to the first video that I made about PACE financing, or PACE program, which stands for Property Assessed Clean Energy. I ran across another video that I wanted to do a review on. I'm going to try and get better at doing this. Hopefully there's not much technical difficulties with all my equipment here. I have the bare minimum, even though my background looks somewhat okay, but it's just a collage of all my old stuff in there. So, and yeah, kissing the war goodbye. I'm a veteran myself. That was actually monumental, by the way. That means a lot to me because when I officially separated from the Navy, that was the first canvas photo that I bought right there, so it means a lot to me. But anyways, moving on from that, guys, we're going to talk about PACE again, PACE program. We're going to try to bring this down to like layman's terms so we can all get a little better understanding of it. But before we do, let's look at this other video that I found. It seems that I'm finding a lot more predatory situations when it comes to PACE financing or the PACE program in itself. Like I said, most of the problem is the lack of information that the homeowner's getting when being divulged of this program, which of course allocates the payment to your property taxes. So we're gonna take another look at this video. A look at this video. I only watched the first 2 minutes of it, but the first 2 minutes were intriguing enough for me to want to show it to you guys. So let's do a live reaction here and see if I can explain this more thoroughly, and then go into detail about how this PACE program works and how you can possibly qualify yourself. Okay, so without further ado, let's take a look.
I live here since 1976. I raised my 2 girls, I raised my 8 grandchildren, and then I raised 2 of my great-grandbabies here.
Adaya Sanchez is one of many individuals who was victimized by the PACE program. This program...
Let's just read that right there. PACE is a lending program backed by local governments designed to fund green energy projects for homeowners based on the equity in their home. So keep that in mind, equity. Remember, equity is what you have paid off towards your home, because that's money that they could use to fund the project because it's been paid for. It's the house's equity, to define it, I guess.
Program was well-intentioned, designed to help folks make energy-efficient improvements to their homes, but instead it has been a scourge on so many low-income homeowners here in Los Angeles.
They came to my house, they said that I needed the solar system, that it was going to dramatically reduce my light bills.
We've serviced over...
Again, I'm going to pause. The number one culprit for using this program is solar. Let me rephrase that. Let me redo that. The number one type of service or construction need that usually gets demand for the PACE program is solar. Reason being is because solar is extremely expensive, and when someone tells you that you could reduce your $300 to $500 to possibly $1,000 monthly utility bill down to $30, who doesn't want to sign for that, right? So therefore, they lackluster the dissemination of information of the PACE program, because that monthly payment being reduced down to 20, 30, or 50 bucks a month compared to 700 or 500 or 300 is so appealing that you just kind of overlook the explanation process of the PACE program. And the contractor is easily able to oblige the situation because it's very thorough. So for them to not explain it is more of like it's more of like a relief for them, which is unprofessional, very unprofessional. Moving on here.
200 clients who have in some way or another consented to home improvements but not been told anything about the way that it would be paid for.
When my property taxes came back in November, I went from $600 property taxes to almost $10,000 property taxes, which I could not pay.
Like so many other individuals...
Okay, let's review that for a second. If you saw my first video, your property tax breakdown for the implementation of PACE programming, if it gets implemented into your property taxes, what happens is it's a monthly payment due in a year's amount at the end of the year, which is when your property tax statement happens. And what I'm guessing is this sweet lady, she did not have an impound account where she probably paid taxes with her mortgage, or maybe she did it, but they didn't acknowledge it. So therefore, she had to pay it independently as an additional line item on the property tax statement that she either gets biannually or annually. I'm guessing annually because of the amount that she said. If it was biannually, she'd be paying $20,000 a year, which is outrageous for this lady. I mean, you can see the fraud aspect of it due to the lack of information that the homeowner's getting. So let me just break this down. I'm gonna just pause this for a second here, and let's break this down real quick. So I'm gonna show you what a PACE professional. Well, I don't think there's PACE representatives, but I don't think there's nobody classified as a PACE professional unless you're like the head manager of the PACE company. But let's break this down here, okay? So $10,000. Well, she said she got basically $600 was her original amount for her property taxes a year. Now, obviously, that's accumulated by 12, so we're gonna go ahead and divide it by 12. Work with me here. So she probably had an average of $50 of services due to her home that accumulated at the end of the year, which is her property tax statement of $600. So now let's go ahead and break down $10,000 by her newly adjusted PACE program monthly payment, okay? Let's clear this here. So let's go ahead and put 10 grand. And let's go ahead and divide that by 12. Yeah, okay, straight up, I'm gonna tell you right now, this dude is an asshole. This guy who implemented this program for her is a complete asshole. Complete asshole. I'm sorry for the language, folks. You know, this is PG-13 and above. No kids should be watching this because no kids own any homes right now unless you're just some rich kid by any chance. Cryptocurrency. Doge going to the moon, right, guys? Anyways, but basically her monthly payment was an arrangement of $833 a month, which obviously he failed to tell her because she couldn't even afford that monthly payment, let alone the year's worth amount. So what happened was he probably told this lady to sign on the dotted line because she can get low monthly tier program. Now the tier program is separate from your PACE program. What happens is tier programs are or they're called differently. Basically, it's like a standard service fee for your solar. And this is where they kind of get you guys. You guys got to understand solar here. And I'm going to try and break this down really simple here. They'll give you basically a set service charge for your solar. They might say tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, maybe higher, or a different terminology. And they might tell you, hey, you're set up to pay $27 a month as long as you have this solar. Sign on the dotted line, here you go. And you'll pay $27 a month. Not knowing that your overcharge is not due till the end of the year. Okay? That's actually what's called a true up. That's when you go over your solar coverage. Now, what we're talking about is you're paying for your standard service for your solar, but you haven't really seen the PACE reflect onto your property taxes yet. Remember, impound accounts are where you're paying your mortgage with your property taxes. So if you were this sweet lady here who had to pay 10 grand a month, but you were paying your property taxes with your mortgage, then you would see an instant change next year. Now, the first year, there's a lot to take, guys. The first year, you have to pay it in full for that year's amount at the end of the year. But once that year passes, you can therefore move it into your impound account, which is your taxes adjusted into your mortgage. I know that was a lot to take here, but I wanted to break this down. And you can see if I do some reverse math and multiply this by 12, yeah, she's paying 10 grand. The guy set her up for an $833 a month payment, maybe for a 5-year plan, possibly. But he didn't tell her that it was due at the end of the year. He probably got her all googly-eyed and all glazed up on the monthly payment for the service charge just for the solar itself, not for the PACE program. A lot to digest here, guys. I mean, it's insane now what contractors will go to any lengths here just to get a deal. I can't stand them. In fact, I don't consider myself a salesman. I'm a military combat builder, and I brought to the table, you know, my valor and my willingness to help people and understand these programs so they can better learn to be more capable of controlling these programs and not having the representative call all the shots. That should never be the case. So sorry about that little tangent. Let's move on here.
Sanchez was stuck with a bill that she cannot afford for work that was supposed to save her money, but has instead put her home in jeopardy.
I nearly had a heart attack. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. I thought I was going to lose it, and my kids were born here, my grandkids. What am I going to do? Where was I going to go? Out in the street?
A lot of our clients are elderly individuals, people who've owned their home for years, who have worked hard to build equity in those homes and were lured into financing they couldn't afford.
In the case of the Hubbards, a man came to their house pitching them on upgrading the windows at their house. The Hubbards were not informed about the price of the upgrades until after the work had already been done, and that was then tacked on.
Something to pay attention to. Remember, the PACE program can be used for any renovations, typically upgrades. Window upgrades, double pane windows with exceptional argon gas implementation, usually done through a chamber method, which is what I know I'm getting a little up there, but preferably when you upgrade your home energy efficiency wise, that's what the PACE program is meant for. Windows, roofs, air conditioning units that can save on utilities, insulation, a variety of other things out there as well.
To their property tax assessment. The assessments would have been over $120,000. And so for an elderly couple who's living on a fixed income, they had no chance. I mean, if this had kept going the way it was going, they were going to lose their family home.
It made me feel awfully bad. If I'm talking about losing my house that I had been here for 50 years.
It's our belief that the PACE program right now is creating the biggest foreclosure crisis that we've seen in this office since 2008.
It is insidious what's happening. I mean, the idea that human beings could take advantage of other human beings at this level and go to bed at night and hug their kids is rather extraordinary in and of itself.
The biggest problem in our legal system is not that people don't have rights. It's that they don't have remedy.
That woman who just spoke right now, I admire her very much. Not so much Gavin Newsom, but the lady who spoke shortly after him. That woman, she fights for rights here in the United States. She fights for women's rights, equality. That woman, she's OG. You know what? She's a badass. That woman is a badass. And I hope she doesn't shut the program down. Remember, it's when it gets into bad hands that it goes into the situation that it is. If it goes into good hands, well, not everybody, not all people who use the PACE program. Remember, it's actually my last resort. But at the same time, there's people who are, a majority of the people who are using this program, they're not veterans like me. They don't carry the valor to want to help people. They just want to make a paycheck. In fact, till this very day, I think my own boss, who I respect very, very deeply, by the way, I think he has a tough time realizing that I don't care about money. I can care shit else about it. I do realize I see it as a resource to help my family and to provide for my family. I don't have kids. I'm responsible enough to know when to have them. But when I use the PACE program, it's a last resort, and I fully inform the homeowner what they're getting themselves into. And if all parties are mutually, on board with everything, and even then, I have homeowners call their extended family members to let them know what they're getting themselves into, just in case they're passing the house to them. Remember, you have to realize that too. You could be possibly passing the house to somebody else, and that can also conflict with that. That can add to a problem during the pass out of the house because there's a portion of equity that's owed to somebody else. Those are the things that you need to go over with extended family members if you plan on passing the house to them. So let's move on.
I contacted my neighbor. I didn't even have money for an attorney. So he said, call public counsel. They do all these kind of cases and maybe they can help you. And that's when I started calling them.
The lawsuit challenges this practice of making loans without determining whether or not the homeowner had the ability to repay it. In the interim, we are working with individuals who are on the brink of losing their home to try and come up with other solutions while the class action lawsuit progresses.
I did want to stand up and be heard because it's not fair. You work all your life, you save your pennies. I have to fight not just for myself, but for other people that this has happened to.
We ended up filing suit in the fall of last year. And we were able to come to a resolution that worked out and put the Hubbards on a path to financial security, and the threat of them losing their home was gone.
Well, you can imagine how that made me feel, like a mountain off of my shoulders, And I told him, I said, well, I just don't have the words to express how I feel about what you have done for me, and it's all pro bono. This would have never ended this way. I believe I would have lost my home, matter of fact, if it doesn't be for public counsel, and Justin.
I was so happy that that wasn't on us anymore.
At the end of the tunnel,
Yeah, I mean, shit. People like this, all you people who take advantage of people like this, makes me sick. I've even debated even quitting my job sometimes because even when I'm glad that people are getting some help here. I'm really glad, but just the fact, just hearing these good people, saving pennies and things like that, and having generations of your family grow up in that house, which has memories and it's priceless memories, and you have some greedy, I'm sorry, but some greedy piece of shit coming in there just wanting to make a deal with a lackluster, form of information as some sort of, intrigue to make it convenient for you to make a buck, and it just pisses me off. And I'll tell you straight up, I'll fight for these people. If I could ever have the chance to meet these people, I'd fight for them. But Los Angeles is a little bit of a dog place when it comes to working over there, which is one of my refusals to actually not work. I don't want to work there ever, unless it's acting, things like that. I'll consider it. But jobs like this, it's tough. So
I can see light with their support. I have no doubt that we're going to beat this. I just want justice for me and for the other people.
A little bit of rep there, public counsel, it's I think it's man, I'm sorry I'm being a little bit of a bitch here, sorry, but I'm glad that there's companies like this, that are helping people like this pro bono wise, and helping them get a chance at not understanding the program, but understanding how they were taken advantage of. I hate to go to the negativity of PACE programming here. I really hate to go to the negativity of it, but every time I review a video, it seems that the negative ones are on top, and it seems like the positive ones are on the bottom. There's so much people that benefit from the PACE program when they're properly informed. It's when you're improperly informed that chaos ensues. Imagine you being a grandmother, a single mother, single father, or a pair of parents with a brand new child that you just brought into the world, and you realize that you wanted to better your house for your kids, and you realize it's a $10,000 bill at the end of the year, and you can barely afford formula for your kids. Think about that. And some bastard came in your home, and he's a bastard. I'm not taking that back. A representative who does that to you is a fucking bastard. And people who do that, my channel, my Ramsey's Home Solutions, yes, it's my company. I've started from the bottom, as little as it is. It's very small. I'm a one-man team. I have no employees but myself, which causes me distress very much. But my heart's in the right place. And if I see somebody doing this, if I catch somebody doing this, you're not going to have to just answer to me, but you're going to have to answer to authorities, because that's called abuse. I know majority of the time it could be perhaps more scenarios in elderly abuse, but even if a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, a 40, 50, or 60-year-old is being caught in the same situation, that's abuse in my opinion. And if I see that happening, and it could be a rarity if I ever see it, but if I do see it happening, I swear to God, I'm going to literally kick you out of that scenario, and I'm gonna just tell the homeowner that you're just an enemy you're an enemy to them. You're just swindling them. You're not explaining anything. Like I said, I'll probably never be caught in the situation unless, I'm in some sort of convention about PACE, but like I said, PACE is a tool. It's a tool. If you use it correctly, it can do benefits for you. Right, Ramsey? Yeah. My pup's a little bit tired here. But I'm going to do a little part 3 segment on how to break this PACE program down. I've done a little bit too much reaction on this, and I'm a little bit depressed from just seeing the negativity, but there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for people who accept this and those who have been wronged by it. I'm glad that there's some, class action lawsuits happening where they can be reimbursed, if not, tenfold, which I agree more so, in my opinion. I think people like this who've been taken advantage of should be compensated tenfold for almost getting taken away their houses when all they want to do was better their lives. Remember, it's an energy efficiency program, and when it gets used the wrong way, it's horrible. When it gets used the right way, it's the best thing that can happen to you. It really is. That's why you have to be informed on it, properly informed, and that comes from good companies and good representatives. And not only that inform you, but are reactive towards intelligent questions that you're asking the representative with speedy responses. Not just something you just want to hear, but things that are crucial to that loan. So I'm going to get away from this technicality here. I'm going to break into the breakdown of PACE. Catch me in part 3 here if you like what I'm talking about. Apologize for a little bit of the red eye here. I just can't stand when people are taken advantage of. So if you like what you're seeing, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video, and hopefully I can make more sense of this whole program for you guys. So take care and be safe.